Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Extra Time with me, Anne-Marie Beaujean. And beside me, as ever, is my sidekick, James Brackpool. And with us in the studio today is professional paraclimber ranked third in the world, John Churcher. John, do you want to start telling us about paraclimbing?
Paraclimbing is climbing, but for people with disabilities. So it doesn't matter what disability you have, leg amputee, arm, visual impairment, being deaf, for anybody that has a disability.
And how much of a challenge is that? Because to me that sounds unbelievable to think that you're visually impaired as well as hearing-wise, you're impaired as well. So that just seems like a mammoth task.
I suppose it can be. It depends on your disability. You have to go along to a climbing wall, give it a go, and then just start at the bottom and work your way up and see if you enjoy it first.
So on a personal level for you, John, what is your sort of level of disability with your sight?
I have a condition called retinitis pigmentosa, so I have tunnel vision, 3% vision, night blindness, and my vision isn't that good. I can see you, but I can't see your entire face at once, and it's a bit blurry and
yeah, you're not missing anything anyway. So.
No.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. And you've also got a hearing impairment as well. How bad is that?
Without the hearing aid, that's about 50% loss.
Right.
So the hearing aids do help, but still miss bits of conversation, especially in loud, noisy places.
And so, obviously, third in the world for paraclimbing. Before we get into the practicalities of paraclimbing and what it is, let's just take a quick look at John in action.
Now your way off route back. Left. Left, match that hole. Okay. So we're going feet up. Go on, John. Up. Use them. Up with the, up. That's it. Go on, John, up with the right hand. Left foot. Good. Right hand, crimp. Left. Yep. Good. Good, John. Side pull. Go on. Yes. Keep your feet up. Get on the footholds. There's a big foothold up left as well. Go on. Go on, John. Pull through. Go on.
Oh, go in.
Oh, I went there. Yeah. I'm going. It's tipping.
Good effort, man.
That was excellent.
I like the fact that you guys are just laughing at you there. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that video?
Yeah, it was a trip that we had to the Midi-Pyrenees in France last year with my sight guide Mark and Jay, who is autistic, who was doing the filming. It was what's called red pointing, so you all the quick draws are in place, and then you just as you go up, you put your rope in, and that was my first attempt at red pointing that route. As you can see at the end, I didn't quite make it.
Got a little hairy there for a second.
Yeah, it did, but you know, I'm on the end of a rope, so perfectly safe.
Let's take you back to the start for you when paraclimbing. How did you get into it?
It started about 5 years ago. I thought I'd be good at climbing, and had a friend who was in the Solihull Mountaineering Club, and she said, come along to the wall and have a go, and I haven't looked back since then. Started off on easy routes. They're a bit wary, I suppose, that, you know, taking a blind man climbing might not be the best thing that you can do, but started off on easy routes and then started progressing and getting harder and harder, and that's where I am now.
And what was it like going for the first time? Were you just raring to go?
Yeah, I was raring to go, but I was, I suppose, a little bit nervous because it was something that I hadn't done before and a new place that I hadn't done and lots of new people that I didn't know. But they make you feel at home, and it was really good.
Chatting to you before, you don't seem daunted in the slightest now with any of your climbs.
No, I'm sure there will be one day, but yet to find that one yet.
And do you still go to Solihull Mountaineering Club?
Yeah, that's the club. We have a regular meeting at one of the local walls in Birmingham every Tuesday, and so I go along there, socialise and practice my movements and everything. So yeah.
And in terms of the sport itself, did you find it difficult to take up? I mean, you've gone from sort of starting to third in the world in your category in a relatively short space of time, 5 years, I believe.
Yeah.
You must have been a natural.
I've never looked at it that way, but I suppose, yeah, it's natural and a lot of hard work, training.
And from your point of view, what is the hardest aspect for you? Is it kind of building that relationship with your guides or something else? Yeah,
I think you've got to have a close relationship with your caller so that, you know, you work well together. They know how you climb and it, you know, goes from there, yeah.
So for those who may not know, your caller, they guide you in where to put your hands and feet, don't they?
That's right.
So I mean, give us an example of some of the shouts that you might hear whilst you're on the rock.
So if you were indoors doing a particular route, they might say...
Oh, hang on. Why don't you look the other way and you call the guides and we'll see what you do?
Okay. So let's assume that you're my caller.
Yeah.
And I was, say, climbing over here.
Yeah.
What would I have to do? What would you tell me?
You could say, first of all, I could say, right, your first move might be put your right foot up to, say, 3 o'clock.
Oh, I'm not that flexible, John. I don't think that's going to work, mate.
Then you'd have to say, put your left hand up at 11 o'clock.
So you need... See, to me, that seems like, you know, quite a specific place to put your hand.
Yeah, we sort of realised that it's sort of like a fluid clock. The clock's never static. It's sort of like where your hand needs to be. It seems to come natural now, but to start with, it's working out, well, where's the centre of the clock, which part of your body, but it's, you know, quite a fluid moving clock.
Well, right. James struggles telling the time, so he'd probably find it a bit challenging.
Yeah, it might be, especially if you only use a digital clock.
That's very true. And so you mentioned, you know, if you were climbing indoors there's obviously a big difference between indoor and outdoor climbing. Could you possibly sort of go through what the main differences are in that regard?
Indoors, it's all hold, coloured hold routes. Can be any grades, easy to extremely hard, but they go like 2+, 3s, up to 7As, 8ABs, and up past that. When you're outdoors, the main difficulty is getting to the crag, because you might have to cross, you know, like a boulder field or navigate bogs, streams, all sorts of hazards, walk along, you know, sometimes along the edges of what could be quite a significant drop.
And do you bring Annie here with you on any of your climbs?
She only comes with me indoors.
Yeah.
She doesn't go outdoors.
Yeah. Is she a big fan of yours?
Yeah, she is. Yeah. She's always sat at the bottom of the wall watching me.
You're number one fan, yeah. And you know, when you're climbing, in order to sort of win, if you're in a competition, is it about scaling a certain height the quickest or getting as high as you can, no matter what the time? Yeah,
if you're in an international competition, you have a set time limit that you have to complete your route in. If you and a couple of other competitors get to the same point, then it goes back to what you did in your semi-finals or qualifying rounds on how high up you got, and then the winner determined that way.
Right. You said earlier you've got your sights on getting that world #1 spot.
Yeah.
What aspects do you need to kind of work on to ensure you get to that level now?
It's mainly my movement, because I only took up climbing once I was blind. I haven't actually seen how, you know, really strong competition climbers climb, how they move their body. So it's almost, I've got to, even though I can climb, I've got to go back to basics on working out the movement of where my exact body position needs to be to get to the next hold. So I've got the strength there, and it basically movement and technique now is what I need to improve.
Did you find that sort of one of the biggest challenges when you started? I'm always under the impression that climbers of any ilk need to have sort of really strong hands and fingers in particularly. Is that something that's quite difficult to build up?
It's not specifically difficult to build up, but it's not all about your strength. A lot of it is your technique. You do need strength because you've got to be able to hold on to the small holds. But then once you've got them, you've got to have the right technique then to say, let go with your right hand while your left foot not on anything, and then just go up to the next hold. So strength does play a part, but it's also stamina and technique.
Oh, well, that's fascinating. And we'll talk some more in the second half, but Anne-Marie, the half-time whistle is approaching.
It is indeed, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back with John and Annie after the break. Hi and welcome back to Extra Time. We're here with professional paraclimber John Churcher and Annie, can't forget her.
Yeah. So John, a little bit before the break, we were talking about the strength required and the technique for paraclimbing, and certainly to be good at it. What sort of training do you do personally to get in shape?
I used what's called a fingerboard, so it's like a small wooden board with pockets in it. So you do different hanging techniques, pull-ups and that sort of thing on that. Then you go to the wall and do roots. Repetitions of route to build your stamina up, and then I have somebody that's quite happy to help me out, and we can practice some of the routes, and I can do the movements that way, and then do exercise bike, cross trainer. So it's a general all-round.
Yeah. So you're a pretty fit person then.
Yeah.
Do you have to sort of look after your diet, because if the heavier you are, the more you've got to pull, essentially. So is that something you have to look after? Yeah,
I have to be careful not to indulge too much, as it.
Can't have too many chocolate cakes.
No. Your finger strength needs to be a lot more if you've got to pull that off the wall.
Yeah. No, I'd imagine so. Yeah. So in terms of you're third in the world, this is obviously something that takes up the most of your time. How do you go about getting funding?
Currently, I'm not funded, so it's all self-funded to go to the international competitions. So it can be a bit tricky at times.
And is it difficult to get sponsorship, considering you are third in the world?
Yeah.
I'd imagine a lot of people struggle if you can't.
Yeah, it seems to be. I've had the odd bit of success with gear and equipment and clothes and some climbing shoes and that sort of thing, but no financial backers yet, which is what you really need to get to the international competition, because you've got your flights, your accommodation, and food to pay for. So the equipment helps, but it's money that's really what would be good.
We were saying earlier about the fact that you compete in the World Championships, but this sport isn't an Olympic sport yet, but things are in motion that is trying to push for that to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, it didn't get through in the last round, but I think, like you say, they're trying to push to get it through to be an Olympic sport.
And is that something you'd like to, if it were to happen, would you love to compete on an Olympic level?
I suppose I would. That would definitely be something to aim for.
Come back with a gold medal?
Yeah, definitely.
You'd come back on extra time, wouldn't you, if you had a gold medal?
Yeah, I would, yeah.
And I know you mentioned during the break there that you mentioned, I think it was ice climbing, that might have more of a chance of being in the Olympics sooner than paraclimbing. You've tried something similar to that, haven't you?
Yeah, that's called dry tooling, where you use your normal climbing shoes and ice axes on holds that certain walls will let you use them on, and then it's essentially is like ice climbing outside, but hence the name dry tooling. It's all inside, nice and dry, and it's still just as exhilarating. It takes a bit more practice and technique, but yeah.
Do people ever say to you you're an inspirational person, because obviously you've overcome quite a lot, especially with your vision, and you're achieving these amazing, wonderful things? That is it kind of like a message that you're kind of saying to people, go out there and do something because you can? And
yeah, definitely. They do say that. I don't you know, it's hard when people say that because I don't really see myself as that. But yeah, definitely, it's you know, have a go. If you've got a disability, it's well worth. You know, you might not like it, or you might find that you take to it and you're really good at it, and move on from there. Then
was climbing something you always wanted to do since you were little, or was it a case of, you know, perhaps you realised your vision was going to decrease and you thought, you know, you look for a new challenge maybe?
No, I think I just thought one day, you know, because I knew somebody that climbed, I thought I'd like to give that a go, and took it from there. Like,
is it an expensive sport to start? Could Anne-Marie don on any boots and get up the wall there? Or?
yeah, you can. Yeah. Any climbing wall, you can hire the boot, the harness. Cheapest way is bouldering, because all you need, there's no rope, no harness to buy. You can just hire the rock shoes and do their induction course, and you know, just pay your membership, and that's it.
And what would bouldering involve?
Bouldering is usually climbing to about a height of about 4.5 metres with a big soft crash mat underneath you, but no ropes. So if you fall, you've got to make sure that you land correctly, else you could do yourself a bit of an injury.
Oh, okay. That doesn't. I thought it was going to sound like fun then, but that's just put me off.
I mean, that's the point in itself, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people would consider, certainly those who maybe aren't necessarily clued up about paraclimbing, that it would be quite dangerous. What would you say to that?
It's no more dangerous than a non-disabled person doing it. If you've got a disability, you just take that. You know, there's members on the team that are arm amputees, leg amputees.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, it's just a case of knowing what your limits are, and then, you know, taking that, I suppose, not a risk, but just working on it and making sure that you know, don't put yourself in any unnecessary danger.
When you're on the wall, do you feel an adrenaline rush yourself when you're going up?
Yeah, I think you do, especially when you're top of route out. You know, you're pleased with yourself that you've done that route.
You strike me, obviously, when we were talking before as well, you're quite a confident person. So do you think that helps you massively while you are the number 3 in the world? Because to me, it makes me seem that you could go on and achieve even better things. Yeah,
I think it does help you, especially when you're in international competitions and they're filming. You've got to sort of like block out that the cameras are there, because that's going out to a worldwide audience. So you've got to think, you know, block that out. And also some of the other international events, you can have up to 2,000 people in the audience watching you.
It's a lot of pressure.
But you don't mind these cameras?
I can't see them, so they're not really there.
Me and James have got a worldwide following for
the show. And, you know, in terms of, you know, you being 3rd in the world, what was the sort of last competition that you took part in that had helped your ranking?
That was actually the World Championship was last year in September.
Right.
And then that was sort of like the end of the season, and then we starting the season up shortly for this year.
So what have you got coming up?
We've got a couple of international competitions.
Where were they being held?
One will be in Austria, and one's in Chamonix in France. I don't think they were. but before that, though, I've got organising a local competition at Wolf Mountain for anybody with a disability that want to come along. That's in Wolverhampton.
Oh, brilliant. So how would, you know, if people are watching, how would they get involved?
Basically, you just need to phone or email the Wolf Mountain and ask for an application form, and just take it from there. So it doesn't matter whether you've climbed before or not. To give you an idea of what, you know, friendly but competition climbing's about. So.
And what is participation like around the Midlands for paraclimbing and climbing in general, I suppose?
Picking up now. It wasn't, going back a few years, there wasn't so many, but now it's getting a lot more popular, and more disabled people are taking part. It's a case of, well, why shouldn't I have a go just because I've got a disability? Doesn't mean to say that I can't. And I haven't gone to a climbing wall yet that, you know, hasn't been friendly and not welcoming to anybody with a disability.
And is coaching something that you might want to, you know, when you hang up your boots, as it were, would that be something that you might consider doing?
Possibly. I haven't thought about hanging my boots up yet.
Yeah.
So
far too early for that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the honest answer.
Yeah.
Well, you've not been going that long, have you? It's been...
Competition climbing is 3 years now. I've been doing that. So I've been on the GB team now for those 3 years, for 5 years in
So you're only just
total.
starting out, really,
Yeah,
aren't you?
yeah.
And do you sort of consider it the, I don't know, ultimate honour to represent Great Britain? As it were?
Definitely. Yeah. I wear my shirt with pride and always wear it whenever I can.
What was it like, sort of making your debut for Great Britain?
Yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but you know, I think, well, you know, I must be good enough to be here.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just get on with the job and yeah.
Is it? I mean, is it quite daunting going up against other guys that have been doing it longer and things, or?
From my point of view, as a visually impaired, because if they've been a climber before they lost their vision, they possibly have a slight advantage on me with knowing the movement and technique a bit better than I would. But I've progressed a lot over the last few years. It makes it a lot easier now.
Well, that's great, John.
I know, it's been great having you on, and Annie, even though she slept the whole time.
She's having a nice rest. But,
she's woken up now.
But the full-time whistle has beaten us again. John, thank you very much for joining us, and join us next time for another edition of Extra Time.
Take care.